For more than 2,000 years, it lay hidden beneath the Mediterranean Sea, covered in sand, buried beneath coral, almost completely forgotten. Then, in the spring of 1901, a group of Greek sponge divers searching for natural sponges made a discovery they never expected. At first, they believed they had stumbled upon a field of statues, bronze arms, marble faces, broken sculptures scattered across the seafloor. It looked like the remains of an ancient Roman ship that had sunk nearly 2,000 years ago. Divers began bringing the artifacts to the surface one by one. Statues, coins, jewelry, pottery. Nothing unusual. Until someone noticed a small lump of corroded bronze. It wasn't beautiful. It wasn't valuable. It didn't even look important. In fact, most people thought it was just another broken piece of metal. So it was placed in storage and almost forgotten for months. No one paid much attention to it, but then something extraordinary happened. As the bronze slowly dried, it began to crack open. And inside those cracks, researchers noticed something impossible. Tiny, perfectly cut, interlocking gears, not one, not five, but dozens of precision-crafted bronze gears hidden inside a device that had been resting on the ocean floor for nearly 2 millennia. At first, scientists couldn't believe what they were seeing, because according to everything historians thought they knew, machines this sophisticated simply didn't exist in the ancient world. Mechanical gear systems of this complexity were supposed to appear more than 1,000 years later. So how could one be sitting inside a shipwreck from ancient Greece? Was history wrong? Or had the sea preserved something that civilization itself had forgotten? And that was only the beginning. Because when modern scientists finally looked inside this mysterious object, they discovered it wasn't just an ancient machine. It was something far more astonishing. The world's oldest known computer. A machine that shouldn't have existed. The mysterious object recovered from the shipwreck would eventually be given a name, the Antikythera Mechanism. At first glance, it doesn't look impressive today. Only fragments remain, corroded bronze plates, broken gears, and pieces held together by centuries of rust. It's hard to believe that this shattered object once represented one of the greatest engineering achievements of the ancient world. But appearances can be deceiving. For decades, scientists could only guess what it was. Some believed it was a simple astronomical calendar. Others dismissed it as an unusual clock. No one imagined they were looking at something far more advanced. Then technology caught up. Using high-resolution X-rays and 3D CT scans, researchers were finally able to see inside the solid mass of corrosion without taking it apart. What they found changed everything. Hidden beneath the layers of bronze were more than 30 precisely engineered gears, each one carefully cut by hand, each one connected to another with astonishing precision. This wasn't random craftsmanship, it was mathematics transformed into metal. And every gear had a purpose: turn a small hand crank on the side, and the entire mechanism came alive. One dial tracked the movement of the sun, another followed the changing phases of the moon, others calculated the positions of the 5 planets visible to the ancient Greeks: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. But then researchers discovered something even more extraordinary. The machine could also predict solar and lunar eclipses years before they happened. Not through magic, not through guesswork, but through precise mathematical calculations built directly into its gears. Imagine living more than 2,000 years ago, long before electricity, long before telescopes, long before computers, yet holding a device capable of modeling the movements of the heavens with remarkable accuracy. It almost sounds impossible. And somehow, the surprises didn't end there. One tiny section of the mechanism revealed something that stunned even modern engineers. A gear system designed to reproduce the moon's irregular orbit. For centuries, many historians believed this type of mechanical solution appeared only in much later European clockmaking, yet here it was. Inside an artifact built in ancient Greece, how could craftsmen over 2,000 years ago understand mechanics at such an extraordinary level? Where did they learn it? And perhaps the most unsettling question of all, if they could build this, what else were they capable of? Because the greatest mystery isn't how the Antikythera mechanism worked. It's why technology this advanced seemed to vanish from history for nearly 1,400 years. And that's where this story becomes truly unsettling. The lost knowledge. If the Antikythera mechanism was so advanced, why didn't history build upon it? After all, that's how we usually imagine civilization. One invention leads to another. Knowledge grows. Technology improves, and each generation inherits the discoveries of the last. But history doesn't always move in a straight line. Sometimes, entire chapters disappear. The Antikythera mechanism is one of the strongest reminders of that reality. After the ship carrying this remarkable device sank beneath the Aegean Sea, history seems to go silent. For nearly 1,400 years, nothing with comparable mechanical complexity appears in the surviving historical record. Not in Europe, not in the Roman Empire, not even during the early Middle Ages. It was as if an entire branch of engineering had simply vanished. How is that possible? One explanation is surprisingly simple. Knowledge can be far more fragile than we imagine. In the ancient world, scientific discoveries weren't stored in cloud servers or printed in millions of books. They existed in handwritten scrolls, small workshops, and the minds of a handful of skilled craftsmen. If a city was destroyed, a library burned, or a generation of engineers disappeared, centuries of knowledge could vanish with them. And history gives us many examples. The famous Library of Alexandria became a symbol of lost knowledge. Although historians still debate exactly how and when its collections disappeared, there is little doubt that countless ancient works have been lost forever. Books that described mathematics, astronomy, engineering, and inventions we may never fully understand. Could the Antikythera mechanism have belonged to that forgotten tradition? Some historians believe it may have. Ancient writers mention remarkable mechanical devices built by brilliant Greek inventors. One name appears again and again: Archimedes, the legendary mathematician who transformed geometry, engineering, and physics. Ancient accounts describe machines created by Archimedes that could model the movements of heavenly bodies. Mechanical devices capable of representing the sun, the moon, and the planets. Unfortunately, none of those machines survived, and the descriptions that remain are frustratingly brief. We don't know exactly what they looked like, we don't know how they worked, and we don't know whether the Antikythera mechanism was inspired by his ideas or built by engineers who carried his knowledge forward. No surviving document can answer that question, but one fact remains impossible to ignore. The people who built the Antikythera mechanism possessed a level of mechanical understanding that historians once believed impossible for their time. And if one extraordinary machine survived by accident, how many others were lost forever? How many inventions disappeared, not because they never existed, but because history simply failed to preserve them. And just when scientists thought this mystery couldn't become any more fascinating, modern technology uncovered another astonishing clue, hidden in letters so small they remained invisible for more than 2,000 years. Those tiny Greek letters wouldn't just explain how the machine worked, they would completely change what historians believed about who it was built for. And that's where the story takes an even more surprising turn: the hidden instructions. For decades, the Antikythera Mechanism seemed like a mystery that would never be fully solved. Scientists could see its gears, they could study its fragments, but many of its secrets remained locked beneath layers of corrosion. Then, in the 21st century, new technology gave researchers something they had never possessed before: the ability to look inside the artifact without damaging it. Using high-resolution X-ray imaging and advanced 3D tomography, research teams slowly reconstructed the mechanism layer by layer. Every hidden gear, every tiny axle, every broken plate began revealing its story. But the greatest discovery wasn't mechanical, it was linguistic. Etched onto the bronze plates were hundreds of tiny Greek characters. Some letters measured barely 1 millimeter high. They were so small that no one living in 1901 could have read them. Only modern imaging technology made them visible. Researchers realized these weren't random markings. They were carefully written instructions, almost like a guide explaining what the different dials represented, how astronomical cycles should be interpreted, and how the mechanism was meant to be used. It wasn't just a machine. It came with documentation. That single discovery changed the entire conversation, because people don't usually write detailed operating instructions for an experiment that only one person will ever see. They write instructions when they expect someone else to use it. Could that mean the Antikythera Mechanism was not unique? Could there have been others, built in the same workshops, used by astronomers, teachers, or navigators across the ancient Mediterranean? No one knows for certain. No complete workshop has ever been found. No second intact mechanism has survived. But the inscriptions suggest something important. The builders weren't simply creating an object of curiosity. They were creating a sophisticated instrument designed to be understood, operated, and passed on. That possibility transforms the Antikythera Mechanism from a remarkable invention into evidence of a much deeper scientific tradition, a tradition that history barely remembers, and perhaps barely escaped disappearing forever. Because when civilizations collapse, they don't just lose cities, they lose languages, they lose libraries, they lose skilled craftsmen, and sometimes they lose technologies so completely that future generations forget they ever existed. The Antikythera Mechanism may be the greatest survivor of that forgotten world, but perhaps it was never the greatest invention they built, only the only one that managed to survive. If one extraordinary machine remained hidden beneath the sea for 2,000 years, what else is still waiting to be discovered beneath the oceans, the deserts, or the ruins of forgotten civilizations? The answer may completely change the story of human history. The warning from the past today. The Antikythera Mechanism sits safely inside a museum, protected behind glass, studied by scientists, admired by millions of visitors. But perhaps we've been asking the wrong question all along. For more than a century, people have asked, how did the ancient Greeks build a machine this advanced? But maybe that's not the real mystery. The real mystery is, Why humanity forgot how to build it. We often imagine civilization as a steady climb, each generation learning more than the last, each discovery pushing humanity forward. But history tells a different story. Empires rise, empires fall, libraries burn, wars erase knowledge, and sometimes entire chapters of human achievement disappear without a trace. The Antikythera Mechanism reminds us that progress is never guaranteed. A civilization can stand at the edge of extraordinary scientific discovery and still lose everything. Imagine if this single ship had never sunk, or if the wreck had never been found. We might still believe that ancient people were incapable of building machines like this. One artifact changed an entire chapter of history, which raises an even bigger question. How many discoveries are still hidden beneath the oceans, buried under deserts, or locked beneath the ruins of forgotten cities? How many inventions, how many ideas are still waiting for someone to uncover them? Perhaps the greatest mysteries of history aren't the ones we've solved. They're the ones we haven't found yet, and somewhere, right now, another forgotten relic may still be lying in complete darkness, waiting for the moment it rewrites history once again. If you enjoyed this journey into one of history's greatest mysteries, consider subscribing to Decoded History. Every week, we uncover discoveries, forgotten civilizations, and hidden truths that challenge what we think we know about the past. And if this story fascinated you, the next mystery might surprise you even more. Until then, keep asking questions, because sometimes the biggest secrets in history are hiding in plain sight.